We are live. This is the market update. I am your host, Bill Noble. If you need a roadmap in crypto, subscribe and stay with this channel. Turn on alerts so you know when we're going live. And if the content works for you, you can hit the like button or check the feedback form down below. All right, let's welcome who's here. Huber's Ranch. Today's Tech Bites. Good morning. SGSG, F. Morales, Peter, Gelster, Daniel Plays Paintball, welcome to the show. Rick B, Corey, Marvins, welcome. Shaquille, Bill, what's up with the Microsoft global outage? We'll talk some about that. Brandon, good morning. Okay, let's just share a screen here. And start with news. Okay, so let me get this straight. I'm to be told or understand that Donald Trump does a major speech, and then the next day there's a cyber hack. Right. I mean, it's hard to dismiss the coincidences because I don't think there are any coincidences anymore, honestly. You know, if you look at what happened with, the events of last weekend, especially the blatant short selling of Truth Social stock and Rumble the day before they were due to take the podium, you got to start wondering if anybody behind this is operating in plain sight. It's just, we're going to do what we're going to do, and we're not going to apologize. We're not going to explain it. It's there. And this speaks to social division later on, right? It speaks to these characters may never stop. And what does that have to do with crypto? Well, at the end of the day, I really do believe it's epically dollar negative. It's not only dollar negative and like, oh my God, the currency is going to crash. But if you have social division, which, we hope some president fixes part of that. But you have the economy rolling over and the fact that the new administration, if all is according to plan, has already stated that they want the dollar lower, which again is giga bullish for crypto. Now it's not giga bullish for equities, but we'll talk about that. This is a very old-fashioned movie, but apparently last night at the end of the Republican convention, they played this particular song. I can't pronounce it, right? But it was the song at the end of a Tom Clancy movie, right? Called The Sum of All Fears, which is a pretty good movie, pretty intense. And then at the end of the movie, all of the deep state actors or, the people on the U.S. side that helped instigate the trouble throughout the plot in the movie were all dispatched. Now, this particular blogger thinks this is really interesting because, Trump is actually pretty big on picking what songs go with, what rally. He found this old song, Hold On, I'm Coming, that he plays at the rallies to the point where the original guys who sang that song, who were not Trump fans, were pretty upset. So Trump has been very particular about, in this case, about warning actors of, I don't know, they call it the deep state. There are huge governmental and non-governmental entities that, have been trying to get Trump for 9 years. That's just a fact, right? So with Trump, like, visibly sending these people a message, and then every time Trump opens his mouth, you can now expect some kind of reaction. I don't know if I would have thought about a hack that takes down everything, but, you have a financial market drop, a Bitcoin drop, or something. It's the strangest thing. So here's the article about the Microsoft outage. Apparently, this is blue screening just about everybody, and it's got to do with a software update to CrowdStrike. Huh. All right, now this does segue into another topic, which is the complete disappearance of full-time jobs. Okay. I think big tech companies are probably anticipating their stocks falling incessantly, perhaps. In other words, Goldman is online telling people that they're looking at a permanent top in equities, and this is going to affect the job market, and the Fed is supposedly already worried about it. Now, for crypto, this is fantastic because they're either doing rate cuts in September. The big man doesn't want them doing rate cuts until next year. I don't know how the Fed handles that, but I do know that the job market continues to deteriorate. Now, manufacturing may be doing a little bit better, right? But the disappearance of full-time jobs is going to be a Fed problem. Now, the Fed also has another problem in terms of the stock market. And I'm just going to jump in, because I think this thing about the layoffs could accelerate as the stock market goes lower. So one thing you have to remember about stocks is that companies are constantly trying to jump over what I call earnings bars, right? In other words, this is the thing NVIDIA is famous for, right? Like the street sets a number as to where they think earnings are. And then there's what's called the whisper number, which is like, okay, this is what we think. But then people start saying, well, maybe they could do better. And then NVIDIA would always come in way beyond the estimate, way beyond the whisper number. They just blow everybody away. And that's why this stock and all these stocks just continue to go up. Well, if the stocks are rolling over and everyone knows it, this layoff thing could accelerate because they could start laying people off to try to make the bottom line look better. And of course, this is a shame. And, you don't cheer about any of this kind of stuff. But the fact of the matter is, barring a disorderly crash, I actually think the lower stocks go, the more beneficial it is for crypto. And let me take 1 second to expand on that. Don't let me forget the screen share to go back to the news. Now, one of the things that a lot of people in legacy are doing, they're tying in what's going on in equities now to what was going on in equities in 2000. I was there in 2000. Let me tell you what I know about it. Back then, you had massive rallies in tech and basically technology across the board, like internet, all small cap stocks. It was like the NASDAQ was a huge index with 2,000 or 3,000 stocks in it. And they were all rallying, led by the big stocks. So you had massive speculation. You had like an ICO bubble in effect, like 2018 in stocks. Now, when stocks rolled over in 2000, the excess that had to be purged was in the private sector, which meant NASDAQ had to be completely wiped out. Okay. So that's how the system released the pressure by just, tanking NASDAQ and stocks in general over the next 2 years. Now, in this particular case, I don't know what happens in 2025, but in this case, the excess, okay, yeah, there are 4 big stocks that everyone is parked in: retail, hedge funds, okay, that they can go lower. They could go 15% lower. It could be worse than that. But in terms of the excess in the system that needs to get purged, in my opinion, that's all in things like the public sector, like interest rates are too high. The dollar is too strong. Government spending is out of control. Powell has not had a handle on inflation. The excesses are on the public side of the equation. So if NASDAQ does go down, yeah, NASDAQ can wipe out the blow off top of recent months. We can look at that. But at the end of the day, instead of stocks crashing for 2 years like it did in 2000, the excesses in, say, the dollar will get corrected. And the way to vote down on Web 2, down on TradFi is going to be to moon crypto. Now, I do know that that makes me sound like a crypto moon boy. But when you think about it, I don't know what case there is for a colossal stock market crash when the stock market has been led by 5 stocks. You just take the 5 stocks and you mark them down 25%, because as you may know, the rest of the stock market, which has caught up lately, but the rest of the stock market has just like literally crashed and not gone up, for 2 years. It's been only these 5 or 7 stocks that have gone up. So as those 5 or 7 stocks roll over, even if it's 20%, in my mind, this creates a bid for crypto. Not only because it's logical for the money to go find a new home, but once they've done that, the thing that needs to, like the pressure valve of the system, needs to be crypto higher rather than a complete calamity in stocks. And I think the price action in crypto lately, even this morning with Bitcoin and Solana up, even after a terrible day in equities, they're telling you that. So while equities may be scary and crypto isn't going to go up on days where NASDAQ is down 2%, at the end of the day, anything that they do in equities on the downside is providing you with an entry point or an opportunity in crypto. And even if that's not true and crypto gets hammered a little bit along with equities, the second it stops in equities, crypto's just going to go right back up again. Okay, so let's, with that little tutorial covered. All right, so again, we have meme tokens now associated with this system outage. And we have Jamie Dimon. All right. So when you think about putting an anti-Bitcoin guy in charge of the Treasury, it is kind of ironic that Trump is going to this convention at the end of the month, and then he's going to talk about Bitcoin as a strategic reserve. Meanwhile, he's going to appoint an anti-Bitcoin guy to run the Treasury. All right. So I do believe Trump wants Bitcoin as a strategic reserve. I don't see a flip-flop on that, mainly because he's not stupid, and this was a Kennedy point, that blockchain, AI, and I think Trump adds oil and gas are going to be the key to the economic growth that at least attempts to help us out of this debt problem. So he's going to cheer crypto and he's going to cheer Bitcoin. Now, what's up with Jamie Dimon? Well, since nothing is what it seems, this reminds me of when George Bush wanted the ex-Goldman CEO, Hank Paulson, running the Treasury. Essentially, and I don't know if that was the calculus back then, but in this case, I think the calculus is very clear that if there was ever a problem with the banks, for whatever reason, you would want a guy who knew the banking system and could marshal assistance from JP Morgan, because one thing that people forget is that when there is a banking system problem, the government goes to the biggest of the big banks and say either, will you take over this bank that's in trouble? So they do it all the time. So if you anticipate a problem with banks for whatever reason, you would put a guy who could make a phone call to the biggest bank and have him, and literally rescue the government. Okay. Okay. Now, the latest thing in like the small crypto media is to go full hyperbole on Solana upside targets, right? Solana isn't going down. It's not. Every time Solana goes up, even if it's a little bit, Lux Algo puts a floor underneath it. Okay. Then if you go over here, right, now we're talking about 300% surge, and everybody is drawing this Solana triangle. I don't know if it's here. Yeah, everyone is drawing this. So people see this like triangular formation in Solana. We talked about this yesterday. Normally triangles are not bullish, but the new thing in crypto is to talk about how Solana can go, right? Solana traders notice huge bullish pendant. This is also a function that people are running out of stuff to talk about. Now, Galaxy buys almost all of a crypto company's assets to expand staking protocol. Now, when it comes to Galaxy Digital and crypto hedge funds, you absolutely cannot underestimate how aggressively these hedge funds, like Galaxy is really more of like a giant investment bank rather than a hedge fund. But literally, I think Novogratz is out there and he just wants to buy everything, right? Because they believe that this cycle isn't going to be the 2021 version, which is insane pump for 12 months, followed by a 90% decline. I don't think they believe that. I don't believe that, right? I mean, unless it really was ridiculous and they did ramp everything. I'm buying Bitcoin at 125K by March or 100K by December, and then Bitcoin falling into a range with alts just going and going and going. Because again, as I've discussed, BlackRock putting finance on blockchain rails and the AI trade moving from dumb stuff like chips into anything decentralized, especially putting AI-generated assets on the blockchain. None of that has been traded. And Galaxy Digital is just going to buy everything until it does. Okay? So there is an options expiration coming up on Friday. Normally, options expirations, okay, options are derivative products that allow people to make bets, both on whether the market's going to go up or down, also on how volatile the market's going to be. Frequently, when you have these giant options expirations, you tend to get price action. That doesn't make any sense. Sometimes it's a lot of price action. Sometimes it's not. It's technical analysis day off or reflection day. Mainly because people who trade options, these players don't necessarily care about market direction. They're more focused on how the market is going to move, whether a lot or a little. Now, they do have to do a lot of buying and selling, but reading too much into whatever happens on Thursday or Friday, not the best thing. Now, interesting that Vitalik is saying, don't vote for candidates just because of what they say about crypto. This is a reminder that Gary Gensler, when he first came into power, was assumed to be a pro-crypto candidate or a pro-crypto SEC person because he used to be a blockchain professor. And just because somebody says they're pro-crypto now doesn't mean they're pro-crypto 5 years from now. And if they're pro-crypto, are they pro-privacy? Are they pro, all the things that we want in crypto? The Jamie Dimon thing is classic, right? Like, everyone's like, oh, Jamie Dimon is terrible. Oh, Jamie Dimon is great. Oh, they're going to buy it as a reserve asset. You know what I'm saying? Like, crypto flip-flops to anything that pumps their bags. I say when you vote based on who you think can do the best job running the U.S. government, right? And also, I think there's also a new thing after this thing that happened on Saturday where, people start asking themselves, who can make the greatest change while also providing some level of inspiration? Because as they were noted in the speech last night, there are segments of the population that are getting completely destroyed by inflation. There's also some segments of population in England where, randomly, I understand Leeds England kind of like went full anarchy last night. You want to vote for politicians who you think can do the best job running the country. Now, this is a good question. Should you buy Ethereum before the ETF launches? Okay. I think the answer is you buy Ethereum as soon as you see the dollar start rolling over. In other words, the dollar went down. They're doing a dead cat bounce. The next turnover into the dollar is when all of this ETH is going to come in for this ETF. Because like what flow comes in the beginning is or is not interesting, I don't know. Bottom line is there is no reason for ETH and Solana to go down. None. Okay. Now, correctly, some CEO says altcoins could benefit. Altcoins, obviously, have been destroyed. So whatever they do in stocks, altcoins were a warning of that already. Altcoins in many ways can have a mind of their own. Like we're seeing huge bounces in Arrow. I was looking at this coin called Coin with a K. That was the most oversold situation I've ever seen. Really. And that coin's going up like 20% a day. Just like Arrow did. So, these altcoins can continue to rampage, and this is directly relevant to Kaizen, that really all we care about is when are we going to get in? You know what I'm saying? Like you can take trading profits in Arrow, maybe, but really the emphasis for the last two months has been when you get out. Now I'm just going to start pounding the table about when you get in. Okay, there's nothing happening in ETH derivatives yet. Okay, XRP came off. So the way I looked at XRP was going to go up. Then you had 2 or 3 days. Then if something big was going to happen in XRP, you'd see that, after a dip. You notice a bunch of trading types shorted XRP, collected a 10% gain. I don't know, man. I think dips are to be bought in XRP, to be honest with you. Because if you ever woke up one day and the thing took off for $1, you were an XRP fan and you missed it. And I'm telling you right now, a lot of people gave up on XRP and don't want to go back in. So if there's a 10% dip in XRP, I don't know, man. I say get involved. All right. So again, everybody is looking. We're going to look at a comparison between Bitcoin miners or MicroStrategy and some of these tech stocks. I think you got to get to the chopper and get out of any big tech stocks, not investment advice, and use any decline in stocks to be rolling into crypto-related equities, period, end of story. So fundraiser tickets for Trump at Bitcoin Nashville are at $800,000. Leave it up to the crypto market to immediately move to a state of excess. Okay. I think Trump is to the point where the only way to stop Trump, at least if you're like the left, is to create like unthinkable social conditions, hacks, crashes, and things like that. I would not doubt that when Trump takes the stage in Nashville, that there's either a stock market or a crypto correction somewhere in there. But at the end of the day, I really don't care. I mean, I do think the left is going to make an attempt, right, to harness, new immigrant voting. I continue to believe that they do not want Kamala Harris, right? Biden is not endorsing Kamala Harris when he quits, right? That rumor is practically fact, right? That not only is he quitting, but that he's not endorsing Harris because they want Newsom from California, who is like Trudeau from Canada, who is the far, far left. Now, is the far, far left going to be competitive against Trump in this election? Probably not, right? In terms of like winning, but I do think they can make a very big showing. And this whole idea about national unity, well, that may be the future first lady's idea, but it certainly isn't going to be Newsom's idea or Harris or any of these people. You're going to get to see the social disorder aspect of it for real. Okay. potential Trump victory and rate cuts. Again, you look at the media now, it's the opposite of what everything was like a month ago. Bitcoin is the strategic reserve, has replaced, oh my God, Germany selling. Oh my God, Mt. Gox selling. What a bunch of ridiculous nonsense that was. And the man is going to come out with an NFT collection because the people want it. I love that. I love that. The people want the NFTs. No, Don. The people want the NFTs that they own to pump. But hey, I'm all about the fact that you're into Ethereum personally. That actually, that helps crypto. Okay. F. Morales says, equities down, we buy more Arrow. Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. Okay. Market is like, yeah, we don't know what to make of this outage. All right. We're going to be doing TA today. We're going to do it live style. Okay. Taking a break from PowerPoint. Okay. So this is QQQ. This is NASDAQ 100. According to Lux Algo, so this is a tactical chart. This is 89 minutes for demonstrative purposes. So according to Lux Algo, every type of 5-wave conclusion actually happened in late June. Okay. And this whole ramp was complete retail excess, which has since been unwound. Okay. Now, if we go and we look at, say, Apple on these tactical charts, right? What Lux Algo is doing in stocks is the opposite of what Lux Algo is doing in crypto, which is as things like Apple fall, Lux Algo is inserting resistance. Meaning the second equities bounce, they're running into resistance. Now, NVIDIA, so there's two ways to look at this. Lux Algo on an 80-minute chart, and this could be, constructive crypto if it's true, is essentially saying that the recent down, up, down in NVIDIA is just a correction, and that should be the end of it. So they hope in stonks. I personally think they're in trouble. And if NVIDIA can't get above 122, there's going to be more selling. Okay, Microsoft off this outage. Again, here's the 89-minute chart. This stuff's just failing at resistance. I mean, that's what crypto looked like on the way down. Meanwhile, MicroStrategy on the same time frame. Okay, we go up, they take it down. They're selling right into resistance, right into support. They've been doing this for a couple of days. I don't know if the Bitcoin ETF looks like that. Doesn't. Galaxy Digital. Okay. Galaxy Digital. So, again, this is Novogratz. Maybe we can go to a 4-hour chart on this. The fact of the matter is, Galaxy Digital, I'm going to go to a 2-day chart, try to get a bigger picture. These stocks, even though this is a pretty busy picture here, these stocks are so undervalued relative to where they were at their all-time highs. In other words, the stock market really doesn't believe in crypto yet. It doesn't. No one does. I mean, we do, but the larger population doesn't. So if you, again, you go back and start looking at crypto directly, okay, here's Bitcoin on a short-term tactical chart. I mean, can you look at Bitcoin and tell that there was any kind of disturbance in equities? That there's no disturbance in equities. You can't even tell on Bitcoin, right? And again, here's Bitcoin on the 20-hour chart with the giant Lux Algo support shelf that we discussed yesterday. It's like, oh, you guys are selling equities? Oh, how nice. Right? And Solana, right? Solana had this huge support zone, and now they're just taking it out. And I don't think people are paying attention to this, but I can tell you right now, hedge funds that are looking at models like Lux Algo, yeah, man, they're looking at it. Meanwhile, they're giving you dips in altcoins, right? They're giving you a dip in True. Let's look at a 4-hour chart. Okay. So there's support here in True around, 13 cents, right? They're giving you a dip in Pro. Pro has support underneath it on a 4-hour chart. They're giving you a dip in Arrow. Support down here is 80 cents in the event that they decide to smack the market. On the Arrow 4-hour chart, you do have some bearish divergences. So I don't know that there's a huge hurry to get involved in this, but there certainly is no reason to sell it, right? And you got a ton of support underneath the market around 82 cents. Right now, a lot of this stuff corrected. One thing that is doing well, look at this Brett coin. Somebody will have to explain to me one day what is up with this particular coin, but they're selling the whole crypto market into support. They sold everything into support yesterday. I think you can start looking at some of these other coins that led the market on the way up, like SUI and SEI, these layer ones. I don't understand why layer one protocols with tech rolling over aren't a choice investment. I mean, you had this thing down as low as 60 cents. It's now at 80. And even though this doesn't have the yellow support bands, all these things do is they relieve the oversold condition by going sideways, and then they turn around and just start going up again. And this is like everywhere. Now, on some altcoins that we liked, I think I showed this one particular coin called Coin itself. Yeah, here it is. Okay. This is what happens when, a market goes straight down. It basically goes straight back up again. Like, this may not stop, mainly because it's just so oversold. Now, I don't know about the long-term viability of this, but this is what happens when you try to hold down crypto, right? Near protocol. Okay. Near protocol can't even get down to support on, say, a 4-hour chart. It just can't get there, right? And then as soon as near protocol does come down here, see these X markings? That's another Lux Algo way of saying that this zigzag correction is over, right? In other words, stocks are making a top and crypto's making a bottom, right? And then you have something like Arweave. Again, they sold Arweave into a support point, and Arweave has actually traded well. They have a partnership with Meta. So I think you get what I'm saying, right? That, digital assets are decoupling from whatever is going on in equities. And frankly, if equities can actually stabilize, that makes, that makes things like oh yeah, here's the Bitcoin ETF. Yeah, see, here it is. I knew I had this. Yeah, the Bitcoin ETF is just sitting on one of these shelves. Like this is going to go to 40. Like, this is at 36. And like, what stops this thing from going to 40? They're going to just unwind the whole thing. They're going to buy this like relentlessly, and they're going to buy ETH, and they're going to buy all this other stuff. So I know this is like, I mean, again, I'm taking a more positive slant, but anything that you're going to throw at crypto to try to keep it down, you're going to need more than this, because the dollar's going lower, rates are going lower eventually, and there's no upside in stocks or bonds. So they have to allocate to these ETFs. if they want upside. They don't have to allocate to the ETFs. They can just sit around and underperform. But I don't necessarily see that happening at all. Okay. I don't see that happening at all. Right. I just saw a news headline, just to do a brief digression before we wrap it up, that supposedly the perpetrator from the weekend's events, actually had the weapon hidden on site. And you're noticing every day that story gets more bizarre. You get more bizarre tidbits and nuggets, but you don't get any explanation. The stock market decline, the bizarre events of this weekend, and then eventually the free-for-all for the Democratic Party nomination is going to show you why we crypto. And even if the market goes down, they're selling it into support. But even if they break support, the lesson from the previous crypto decline is to remember all these things tell you why you crypto. Well, this is really going to be the only investable asset that makes any sense between now and March and beyond. Okay, so that's it for the market update for today. We will see you tomorrow.